So a couple things that have changed from old Uldaman to new Uldaman. The number one thing is the art on the wall. Remember how in original Uldaman there was that painting of those two guys sitting in those chairs and they had like the two kids kind of like climbing around or whatever? That's all gone. So one thing that we have here is this, which is, it looks like a series of stars forming a constellation of sorts. There's circles. I also personally believe that these are, it's indicative of connections between planetary bodies. That's the way that I see these. I see these as star charts. I see them as a core world, sun, moon, something else connected to the moon, perhaps. It makes me think of Anshe and Musha. It makes me think of gateways between one celestial body and others. It's that type of stuff that I think of when I look at these. Now, if this is a specific constellation, I don't know what it is, so pardon my ignorance in regards to that. But otherwise, I see these as almost like a little map. But that's just one interpretation of that. Now we see another one here. This one's different. This one has the large circle separate and would be another constellation. However, this would suggest a connection perhaps between three orbiting celestial bodies. Maybe Azeroth, moon, sun, moon. We do know about supposed connections familially between our sun and moons as well. So there is that. The NPCs will vote kick you because you're too slow. They won't. So this is interesting. I like these. There's more art in here though. Here's one of those large bluish kind of green orbs that I've kind of spoken about before, and they're along the edge here. Here's another one. Could be, again, yet another constellation. This one more like a triangle with three connections between them. I guess at the end of it, you know, when you boil it down, even if they're stars, the idea of constellations is the connections between them. So even if you wanted to see these as constellations, technically they're still stars being linked together with trajectory. So it's not really any different in my opinion. Now, one of the big things here in Uldaman that I think is interesting is this chart on the wall. Now, this isn't a big mystery what this is. It's pretty obvious what it is. But I think the context of how we see it and where we see it is very important. So the first thing that I want to point out is that this here on the wall is the Titanic representation of the cosmology chart. But there's a couple key aspects of how it's being delivered to us here that I think are important to recognize. So, what you're seeing here are the different cosmic forces, right? And if we were to attribute these cosmic forces to those that we see on the wall, it would be quite clear. The top one is light, this one is life, this one is disorder, this one is death, and the two buried by rubble and ruin are order and shadow. Now that could have a symbolic meaning, as this ruin and kind of rubble that's fallen from above is quite literally starting to kind of take over these two first and cover them. Now that could just be very nice, little subtle image-based storytelling. But that honestly doesn't really matter that much. That's not even the key point of why I'm showing it to you. I'll show you the full one, which is up ahead here, because it shows the entire chart. Now, I want to clarify something, that I don't believe that the constellations are specifically have to be stars. I want to clarify that Argus was a planet and it was called the Emerald Star. So keep in mind that these do not have to literally be stars. They can be planets, okay? Remember that. Now, keep in mind, we're told one story about this. We're told Ironea and Arcades created Uldaman as a facility to house the earthen and keep them from degrading, but it's kind of funny. There's also some lore that says that that Khazgaroth is actually the one who made Uldaman. The fact that the core of it is called the Seed of Khazgaroth kind of suggests that, and that it was a little more directly influenced from the Titans that had a hand in the creation of this place. They make it sound like it was their keepers and that they didn't have a physical hand in it, but I'm not so sure if that's the case. I would also like to throw out there, guys, people always seem to see the Keepers as completely separate entities from the Titans, and I think that that's a mistake. I think that it would be foolish to think as such, because is the avatar of Sargeras really something that's independent of Sargeras? Or is it basically just a vessel that he uses to control and do things more physically in person? I think we all know the answer to that question. It's because he can do things more physically and in person because he's actually gigantic. So the avatar is used in that way. The Titan Keepers are not different. In fact, when the Titans are slain by Sargeras, their souls careen towards Azeroth and slam into the Titan Keepers. So, given that that's the case, the idea that the souls of the Titan Pantheon could have quite literally been inside the Keepers, and how that could have influenced them is pretty fun to think about, if you ask me. They're like reverse Gundam suits, in a way. In a way. And you see here, oh shit, I never even saw this. This book's got Titanic lore in it. So this image right here, we actually see quite a lot. This image is actually on the platform that the Eye of Aman'Thul is placed on in the Nighthold raid. It's actually on the door in the Chamber of Heart. We see this on other Titanic creations, and I think that this is a big cosmological realm map, essentially, to kind of show links and trajectories of realms and planets. If you guys don't know this, I basically think that all the realms and planets are actually orbiting Azeroth, and that Azeroth is the center of the universe. Yeah, that's what I believe. I believe the realms, like the Emerald Dream and the Shadowlands, also are, or once were, realms, planets orbiting as well. And I think that not only does the Chronicle Cosmology map show you that, but I think that the map that Star Augur has shows you that the Legion has shows you that Karazhan has in it shows you that. There are myriad instances of celestial bodies being used to represent the Shadowlands and Emerald Dream as though they are physically planetary bodies orbiting Azeroth. And that's actually how it's put in some of the newer D&D stuff as well. The Feywild and Shadowfell are quite literally like planet realms. So even though that conceptually was after Chris Metzen made this stuff, you know, I think that it's still relevant. Now you see here, once again, Ruin. It's literally ruined this link here. Order is completely taken over. Shadow is completely taken over. And now it's kind of penetrating into death here. Okay, so what we have left is light, life, and chaos here. But when I get the full uncovered chart, I'm going to show you guys something about it that no one in chat has mentioned. I haven't seen anyone mention in a video. Haven't seen it. So I want to show you this.
Roma, the chief here, gonna smash you! Get out here and smash him!
So this is the city of Uldaman as it's designed. This isn't the only thing like this. Nice, they used Bloodlust when the ads came out. What a freaking big dick freaking... Dude, I might just do every dungeon like this from now on, bro. Optimal freaking Bloodlust timing, dude. You love to see that. So in here, you got some earthen that are not so earthen. And on the wall, you've got some Art of Tyr being enveloped by old god tentaculars. Or actually, that's Loken, not Tyr. That's Loken, pardon me. So this is about Loken's betrayal. That's Loken right there. And him defying them at Ulduar and falling to corruption. Which is what led them down here in the first place. Kuranos or whatever his name is, that fucking Titanforge guy. It kind of looks like him. Kuranos or whatever, I think that's his name.
Halt! The unworthy will not enter this hallowed place.
Nice, and here you have maidens holding a book up above, presumably Ironea. This sentinel, which is clearly a Titan forged, that worked for, Tyr, the other two, commanding light. This boss here, and then behind him, of course, you have Tyr's silver hand, which had basically a monument and temple built to, revere it. Then they ended up breaking it up into pieces, I think, and forging weapons and armor and shit out of it. So that's kind of interesting. Of course, it's a giant relic of the light and was capable of housing light within it. I also think that silver is capable of housing void inside of it. There is not a coincidence, in my opinion, in the names Galacron, like gallium, like silver metal, or Iridicron, like iridium, which is a silver metal. Probably not a coincidence, especially considering that Tyr has the silver hand and we don't have a silver dragonflight. But somehow Galacron holds within it the essence of void and hunger, which was retrieved by Iridicron later. So yeah, probably some kind of connection there, but yeah, then we have this boss. It's got a big titanic ring around it.
Tyr's secrets will be protected.
I'm sure they will. Hey, chat. How many cosmic forces are there? 7. Right? So I wonder, what do you suppose that thing in the middle there is? If that's a cosmic force, and 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 then shouldn't that be a cosmic force? No. Farim had some writings about that. You guys remember that? Every new discovery in Zereth Mortis drew me back to the mysteries of the first ones. I sought to understand their nature, yet each time I believed I was nearing an answer, I found myself drifting further away. I considered again their design. The pattern, lines and curves and arcs and angles, and turns. Oh, so many turns. Like turning of a wheel, I wonder? Turns in a cycle. The 6 forces that pointed towards a 7th, and yet denied it. For a long while, I considered this seeming contradiction no more than another variable, an unknown, waiting to be solved. But the Song of the Oracle continued to reverberate in my consciousness, and as I allowed my focus to soften, my grip on the tangible to loosen, the geometry took shape in my mind. It was both 6 and 7. The 6 were one, and the 7th the other. Did they desire union? The song seemed to say otherwise. Both were one, yet only one could be. The melody shifted. I shuddered at the shape it took. This was not a variable to be solved. It was a solution, awaiting its opportunity. The song must not be allowed to end. Do the first ones still sing it? Truly, I do not know. But if they do not, who will? And so, I believe that as much as I think balance is a key aspect here, there is a difference between balance and harmony. And while Elune may represent balance, I don't know if she really represents harmony. And I would like to clarify what I mean. Balance and harmony, because when I first heard that, I thought, no, they're the same thing. Balance is synonymous with control and limitation. having to control just about our every move, every minute. Harmony is synonymous with flow, trusting the process, allowing spirit to come in and guide, inspire, direct, create, and synchronize. Remember, when we get into harmony, we allow spirit to guide us. The difference between the two, balance implies an either-or scenario where harmony promotes an and also perspective. Balance seeks to separate, while harmony aims to integrate. And so if Elune is our concept of balance, she is not harmony. She's another means of order. And true harmony, what I think is most likely the seventh cosmic force, is right there in the center. Azeroth. Creation. In all its unfettered glory. Chaos. And everything around it, by a means, seeks to keep it in order. And so, Uldaman is unique in that it is the only place in the game that the cosmology of the Titans is directly illustrated, if I'm not mistaken. And if the ring in the center was smaller or something that set it apart from the other cosmic forces, I would be more inclined to say something different. But because this chart seems to, in my opinion, conflate the center to the other cosmic force, isn't that even how it's depicted on this chart? It's a big circle, it's a ring. And inside of that ring that we call reality, we've got the Emerald Dream and the Shadowlands pulled into it, even though they're realms associated with life and death. We've got the moons and sun as well, which are also associated with other realms and other places. But reality and the confluence of all of these cosmic forces, like Farim says, in part 7, the six forces that pointed towards a seventh and yet denied it. For a long while, I considered this seeming contradiction no more than another variable. But it's not a variable. It's a solution awaiting its opportunity. And it's coming. It's coming in the World Soul Saga. That solution and its opportunity, harmony will come. And this is why I say that her soul was split. It's been split. Azeroth's soul has been split. And only recently was it put back together. But it's still in conflict. It's not over yet. She has power. She's getting the opportunity to speak and to do these things, but it's not over yet. It's not done. The war within is still being fought. And it's a lot more than just fighting in caves, like I said. You mean store within? So can someone explain to me what that even means? There are no reddish pillars here as far as I'm aware. What does that even mean, store within? What does that mean? I deeply, with all my heart, hate motherfuckers who say WoW X-Pac's dead months before it even comes out. Shut your pessimistic ass up, please. Pessimism sells. Negativity sells. It always has, guys. Why do you think I always... Look, dude. There's a reason why my most famous moment ever is me freaking out. Most people's most famous moments are their worst moments. That's not a coincidence. It's just making fun of WoW's monetization. Yeah, it's a pretty lame joke. I'm not trying to simp for WoW in that regard, but that's the store within. Like, is that really that creative? Every game has a store? Yeah, I'm kind of confused. It's just, guys, listen, chat. There's a such thing as called low-hanging fruit, okay? That's low-hanging fruit. That's all it is. It's not funny to me because the criticisms of the war within has nothing to do with monetization. Exactly. So the joke isn't particularly clever. Right. It's literally just low-hanging fruit trope of lol lol microtransactions, game store, lol lol. It's literal brain rot mass content shit. That's all it is. It's like the Maw, the chore within. That's more clever. I think that's even funnier, personally. That's better. Look at this giant vault set. Information in here that we're just not going to be able to read.
Purging protocols activated.
Can I ask you guys a question, by the way? If the Titans are so good and such good guys and want to protect life and do all that stuff, how come they haven't come back yet? Now that's a plot hole. How come they haven't come back yet? How come throughout all the events of BFA, they didn't come back? Even though the world teetered on absolute destruction at the hand of N'Zoth? How come through all of Shadowlands, they didn't come back? Even though the Jailer sought to influence all of the Zereths with domination, which is basically super order, empowered through death. How come they didn't come back? Well, it's kind of weird that the Titans have just kind of coincidentally not had to be a part of helping us fight back any of this bad shit. So, you know, you could look at it as like, yeah, they want it to happen. They're just waiting. They're literally waiting as we slowly dismantle the other forces, and we have, and push back and do these things and grant them a greater seat of power, and it's working. And as we have done this for them, they have just watched and waited. And what I was going to say earlier that should frighten you is that the reason the Titans appear as humanoids is because I believe they intend to use humankind, specifically, probably Anduin Rin, to try to accomplish their ultimate goals, because the unbending willpower of humans, specifically, is unmatched. There's a reason why the Forsaken have an ability called Will of the Forsaken, and they're all formerly humans, and they're all able to not go insane. The Will of the Forsaken, in order to break out of fear, sleep, charm, etc., is a hint at their willpower. Humans have incredible willpower, and I'm gonna let you know right now that just like the Primus, they seek to exploit that for their own ends. Because as I mentioned before, the Titans don't destroy and forget. They imprison or repurpose. You understand? So their goal is not going to be to stop us from doing the things. They're instead going to adjust, and they're going to try to use us to accomplish their goals. We cannot allow ourselves to be blinded by that, otherwise they're gonna win, okay? The only way that we can win is by holding on to our mortality, holding on to the things that were deemed weak that actually make us strong, and by defying their will, because as we have been shown, we have the power to do it. Azeroth has the power to do it. If we bend, if we give up, it's over. We have to stand resolute against their overbearing order, because if we don't, we can't. And again, I would reiterate that some people would take that as, oh, Pyro, so in that case, you think that we should join the Legion. No. What? It's like when I say the light's bad, people go, oh, so you want to join the Void? No! Absolutely not, I don't want to join the Void. No, I don't want to join any of them! Well, this obviously didn't happen in the original.
I fear I will have to deny your queen her prize. The disc you seek will be mine.
The similarities between light and time magic blow my f***ing mind. It's one of my favorite things about this game. Light and void, stasis and entropy, time and space. Untouched, unshaped void. Galakrond's fall at the hand of the Proto-Drakes. And then here, the dawning of the aspects, where they took on their full powers.
This disc may hold the secret to the aspects regaining their power, and we cannot allow that to happen.
Funny, because through these efforts it happens anyway.
Now the disc is lost to time, just as you are about to be. In all timelines, you failed to stop me.
I bet Norganon thought a very similar thing.
The sands will scour you from this timeline.
You can't strike me from history. You only have a little bit of the power that your god gave you. He has that power, but you don't. I am history, motherfucker.
Lost in the sands. Can you feel your fate closing in? Your efforts are impressive, but in vain.
This guy's cool, VA.
The timelines are converging. There will be only one aspect, and Murson shall be infinite.
Calm down. Spawn of alternate Nosdormu, spawn of alternate Amanthul. I don't like your infinite bullshit. 6 seats at the high table, 6 mouths that hunger, one shall consume all others. And on the walls in here, we have those constellations, but we have light shining through them. You guys see that? The Vault of Tyr. And this looks like the main door into Uldaman. The main, maybe the central palace. Well, I wonder if they're going to turn this into a raid at some point. I could see that. I could see us doing a full-blown raid of Uldaman. You know, there was a leak back in the day that talked about something called the Forge of Illumination that never was put in the game, but it was said that it was allegedly something in Uldaman. It'd be interesting if we ended up ever coming back here and finding any type of forge like that. All right. Well, that is new Uldaman.